All right. We are live. Cool. Audio is working. All right. Welcome. What's going on, Kyle? I appreciate you being here. And on yesterday's Instagram Live. I'm going to wait like one more minute for people to jump in. And we're just going to dive right into the mix. I just ate like a super quick snack, feel a little full. I just got done. I literally just got home from getting a haircut, smashed some food real quick, and then we're just going to get this started. So I'll give it about 30 more seconds. We'll dive in. Keeping this short, punchy, right to the point, and pushing the replay afterwards. So and the goal here is within the next couple of weeks, when my schedule slows down a little bit, these will just become weekly short format videos, and then I'll bob and weave and add some more live sessions in as like an extra. But I will continue to do Instagram lives as well, focused on Q&A and live coaching. All right, 30 more seconds and we're diving right in. So what's going on, Leo? GM, good afternoon from me to you. Build those questions up. And yeah, I will open it up and I'll stay on for a little bit and answer a couple questions and we'll dip out. Okay. Let's get this started. What's going on? This is, hey, yeah, Leo, I will be at Creative South. So yep, I will be there. I fly in like early on Wednesday and leave later on Sunday, but I will be there. And in my Discord, I have a little channel that's all about Creative South. So I'm linking up everybody, connecting everybody ahead of time. And then I will be putting together a little get together for those in like the community, my coaching community, and my free private Discord. So a link to my Discord will be in the description of this YouTube episode if you want to join and be a part of this and connect with all of us before the conference. And I'll also be at CropCons later in April. So cool. Glad to see you there. And let's dive in. So what's going on? This is Coach Scotty.D.Russell. And in today's video, I'm going to show you how you could be accidentally sabotaging your sick creative gains simply because you were saying and thinking things from a negatively charged perspective. While you can easily dig yourself in a hole with some of the things I'm going to share with you today, you can just as easily dig yourself out of it with a few simple shifts in how you think, speak, and act. And these easily to implement tips that I'm going to be sharing today with you are going to help you do a few things. One, it's going to help you get out of your own way. Two, it's going to help you unlock new progress and momentum. Three, it's going to help you gain more confidence in your abilities. Four, it's going to allow you to connect with yourself and your work more easily. And five, it's going to help you make power moves without seeking permission. And the entire goal of this episode today is to help you rewire your mind to win so you can move further toward the professional end of the spectrum. Say over here is the hobbyist end. Here's the professional end. Every day we're moving 1% closer to becoming a professional. And you can be a professional with your work without even doing your thing full time, leveraging a day job, so on and so forth. But my whole entire purpose is to help you become a creative professional. And this simple list of say this, not this, could radically change the course of your creative pursuits as it did for me over the last couple of years. So before I dive in, if you find this video helpful today, please consider one, liking this video. That way the algorithm pushes it out to more people can see it. And then two, consider subscribing to the channel as I drop a new live session like this every Wednesday in the meantime at 12 p.m. Central Time. So diving in now, the world is a mirror. I say this often. The world is a mirror. What you think and believe becomes a reflection of your reality. The world will believe what you believe about you. You make your beliefs and your beliefs make you. But the beautiful thing about this is that you have the power to choose whatever you believe in. You have the control. You have the power. This is within your circle of influence. Instead of worrying about what everybody else is doing, you can worry about what you choose to believe about the world, what you choose to believe about yourself. And we're really going to dive deeper into this here shortly. So I want you to consider today walking away with this takeaway that you can use your words and thoughts as a powerful weapon for positive production as opposed to negative self-destruction. So I just trying to help people build themselves up versus using their language and their actions to tear themselves down. Just know that every word you say is a blueprint that your mind, your body, and your psyche are working to make your reality. So why not leverage everything within your control to get the most growth and impact out of what you're doing? Why not show up each day with intent? And the more that you start to understand where you are using this negatively charged language, you can start to right the ship and start course correcting, self-correcting when you start realizing what you're doing. I hope today you realize like, oh my gosh, I say stuff like this all the time. I could make some simple tweaks and start seeing some big results. Sounds crazy, may sound a little bit woo-woo. Trust me, this stuff works. So first off, let's talk about mindset, beliefs, and perspective. My goal is to change the lens of how you think and speak, how your brain is wired. I want to rewire your brain slow and steady. This stuff takes time to do, but it pays off in the grand scheme of things. It compounds over time. Your mind is powerful. It's your most powerful asset. Either it's working for you or it's working against you. So first thing I would like to encourage you to make the shift from operating out of fear and scarcity mindset and make the shift to start operating from abundance and gratitude. For me, this has been extremely difficult. I grew up being the victim. I grew up getting severely bullied, severely picked on. I would not only get beat up by my older brothers, but then I would go to school and then just get bullied like crazy and beat up at school too. So I couldn't escape this. And then I grew up failing in basically every sport that I participated in. So I just had this limiting beliefs that I was a failure growing up. And I operated out of fear that no one would accept me and no one would like me. So I craved popularity. I craved acceptance. So I would bend over backwards, say, act, think, or do anything to get someone to accept me. And I became a notorious people pleaser. And so I would make a lot of decisions based out of fear, based out of scarcity, based out of I never thought I was good enough. I'm always going to fail. I'm destined to not be good at anything. And I would trap myself into really dark places that I couldn't thrive within. I just played a victim. I lived in the negative, dark cloud always was over me. But over time, I learned about like the power of abundance. I would always tell myself I was broke. And I would always tell myself I couldn't afford that. I would use this negative charged language to provide these limiting glass ceiling beliefs over me instead of being like, hey, money's abundant. I am just overcoming financial hurdles during this season. I can afford anything, but I'm living within my means. This is something I don't need right now. I could have it if I wanted. I could make this money in a heartbeat. Money is always abundant. Money and opportunities are always coming to me. That's the opposite of I'm broke. I'll never have money. I'm always broke. I can never afford anything. That is fear, scarcity mindset. That is living in the mindset of lack versus abundance. I could afford this. I'm overcoming financial difficulties. It's just a simple shift in how you word things, what you think, what you view, what you believe about yourself. And to me, I tell myself I'm a money magnet each day. I know this sounds corny and I sounds cheesy, but I deal with severe money blocks. I don't come from money. My family doesn't come from money. We grew up, money was always tight. Money never grew on trees. And now I'm rewiring myself to believe like money's abundant. There's an opportunity that's always coming my way. And I still deal with money blocks and I have to retrain myself. And a great book, a great resource would be You Are a Badass at Making Money from Jen Sincero. That's like a staple. It's an annual read for me. Every year I have to read this book because I catch myself slipping back into operating from lack and scarcity. I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I going to pay the bills? Especially when you're an entrepreneur, you're never sure where your next paycheck's going to come from. And the next part under this mindset, beliefs, and perspective, I want to encourage you to make the switch of instead of playing the victim, like, oh man, I can't believe this keeps happening to me. Make the shift in the hard paradigm flip of the lens you see this through instead of this is always happening to you or something happens to you. This is happening for you. This is happening for you. This has been tough, but the biggest, scariest, hardest moments of adversity in my life have always been like the most monumental of something big has happened from it. Like when I lost my safe day job back in late 2019, initially for the first 2 weeks, I was like, damn, I can't believe this is happening to me. This is happening to me. I worked so hard. I was promised a safe day job. I just got a big boy raise. I just locked in a new mortgage. We got a second kiddo along the way. I can't believe this is happening to me, until I made the shift of like, this is happening for me. Me losing my safe job, day job was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. It forced me to get serious. It forced me to bet big on myself even more than I currently always had. And it forced me to go all in on coaching. Even before I was ready, I still had $100,000 worth of debt, or under like maybe $60,000 left at this time to pay off in debt. Before I was going to take the full-time leap, I wanted to make sure my daughter was welcome in this world. I wanted to make sure the rest of our debt was eliminated so that I could build up a runway of 3 to 6 months of rainy day fund expenses. And then I was going to take the full-time leap. I thought it was 2 years away for me taking that leap, but I wasn't ready for that opportunity, but I was prepared for it. And so the universe like nudged me into something before I was ready. But me losing my job was the best thing that ever happened for me. It didn't happen to me. It happened for me. Me blowing my back out in college football, for the longest time, I felt like it was happening to me. And I played the victim when really it was happening for me. I couldn't connect the dots back then, but I can now. Me becoming a student coach instead of being a player and having my dream robbed and taken away from me. I needed that adversity. I needed to feel the pain and begin my early stages of coaching, to where that coaching turned into personal training, which then in turn into high school coaching, which then turned into me becoming a creative coach. I needed that. Was experience that was setting course for where I am today. So I want to challenge you to, like, in the moment when you're just getting dumped on, you're getting crapped on by the universe, it feels like. And sometimes it's hard, especially when we're like losing loved ones or really, really heavy pains like that. That's really tough to look at it through this lens. It's more of a connect the dots kind of thing. But if something happened to you that's not on that end of the spectrum, I want to challenge you to, like, in the moment, to think about, like, why is this happening to me? Why was I late to work today? Oh, so this could happen. Why did this happen? Oh, it led to this relationship. Okay, so it's not happening to you, it's happening for you. There's a simple mental shift. Now moving on, how you speak to yourself. So there's the first one, is how we think to ourselves, how we believe, our belief systems that are rooted deeply within us. We can change our belief system anytime we want to. We can flip the narrative anytime we want to. Let go of those limiting past thoughts and beliefs, those stories you told yourself that keep you living small. You can make that decision any day. Flip the script. So how you speak to yourself, some things I encourage you to: don't say this, say this. All right. Say this instead. Don't say this. So how you speak to yourself and others. Change the way. I catch so many of my students, like, if you're a student in here or you're watching the replay, here's some things I won't allow my students to say. And then they catch me saying it too and put me in check. So say this, or don't say this, but say this instead. So number one, instead of saying, I can't do this, man. There's no way. I talk to my son all the time. He's like, I can't tie my shoes. I can't do this. I can't put my shoes on. I can't pull my underwear up after I went potty. I'm like, no, you're not allowed to say can't in this house. Instead, say can. I can eat this entire pizza to myself, instead of saying I can't eat this entire pizza to myself. I can do it. Here's how I'll do it. And I'll do it slow and steady. And now my son, he even catches me. He's like, Dad, we don't say can't. He's 3.5 years old. I'm like, yes, I'm ingraining it in him early. And he catches me up. I'm like, yes, I need other people to keep me in check as well. So instead of saying, I hope, oh man, I hope I'll get this done. Instead, say, I will. For example, I hope I can attend Scotty's weekly live YouTube sessions. Instead, say, I will attend Scotty's weekly live YouTube sessions. And why I'm making these switches, I'll tell you here in a second. But instead of saying, I'll try as my students. If my students try to tell me, I'll try to do my weekly exercises and submit them on time, my current spring students. Instead, I'm like, how about you say this? I'll do my weekly exercises and submit them on time. It's just a simple shift. Instead of saying, I'm not capable of crushing this new season that I'm in right now of YouTube Lives, instead, I'm going to say, I am capable of crushing this new season of YouTube Lives, and I will figure it out slowly along the way. Instead of I'll try to figure out, I will figure it out along the way. I can do this. I am capable of doing this. And then a last one, there's a difference between I know and then, oh, I know. So here's a version of like I know in the bad tense. When you're being like, man, I know I should be doing X, Y, and Z, but you come in you typically with an excuse. Instead, say, man, I know I can do this, the good version. I know I have something to offer this world. I know I'm capable of doing this. I know there is a reason for my purpose on this earth's surface. It's a belief system. It's how you speak and talk to yourself. Simple changes. And why I don't want you saying the other way of I can't, I hope, I'll try, I'm not, I know, is because automatically you're giving yourself an out. Automatically, you're just letting yourself off the hook. I'll try my best to get it, but deep down, you're already giving yourself an out. Like, I already know that I might not be able to do this, so I'm giving myself an out to back out right now. But if I say I'll try my best, at least I feel good about knowing I'm probably not going to follow through on my commitment. Instead, using more actionable verbiage in words like I can, I will, I'll do, I am, I know. This is automatically speaking from a positive perspective, an action-oriented perspective, a follow-through, a commitment, accountability lens of what you're speaking through. And you'll start to realize, like, every time I say, man, I'll try to do this, I hope I can do this. You're like, wait. I will, I am, I can. You'll start slowly rewiring your brain to start believing a different outcome will happen. You'll slowly start to hold yourself more accountable. You'll slowly start to see more results and take yourself more seriously with some subtle, simple tweaks of your language. It's pretty powerful stuff. It may seem so easy, may seem like such low common sense hanging fruit, but it's powerful stuff. It really does make a difference. And then you'll start catching yourself. When you start catching yourself and you're catching others, that's when you're starting to make that shift. That's when you're making that shift from a hobbyist to the end of the spectrum of becoming a professional with what you do. So moving forward, in conclusion, I hope this little session reveals how you could be self-sabotaging yourself without even knowing it. And the single takeaway I want you to walk away with is that your words, your thoughts, your beliefs, and your actions have power. And you could be negatively doing damage every day without knowing it, or you could be intentionally, positively building yourself up. There's a muscle we can build up. There's a praise muscle, there's a critic muscle. And by being intentional of what we choose to think, speak, act, say about ourselves, how we speak about ourselves towards other people as well, it does something to us. It truly begins to change how our brain functions. We're slowly wiring ourselves to bet big ourselves, to believe in ourselves. It sounds woo-woo, but it's a fact. You're building up a mental fortress each day. That's the whole goal, soul of what I'm doing. Yeah, you could create the dopest work, but you could have the most fragilest mindset. Your mind could be fragile like an egg. You really think you're going to thrive doing your thing full time? Everybody wants the external results of, I want the biggest audience. I want the big time select name clients. I want to make all the money in the world. To me, all of that is a far-fetched fantasy if you don't do the hard internal work under the hood yet. The most important thing you could ever work on to be successful as a creative or just successful as a business person, an entrepreneur, as a parent, anything, is doing the work inside, the space between your ears. Whether you think you can or can't, you're right. So I want to encourage you to be intentional with how you talk to yourself, catch yourself, and use these weapons for good to unlock progress and momentum. And before we dive in and open this up for questions, let me know, what simple little hack do you find is most helpful that you can implement? Share with me in the comments. Do you catch yourself always saying, like, I'll try? Do you catch yourself saying, I hope? I would love to know, like, where do you trip yourself up at? And what did you learn that you say about yourself most that you could be subconsciously sabotaging big results coming your way? I would love to know. For me, mine was always, I'll try my best. I didn't realize, like, how often I was letting myself off the hook. So mine is always like, I will do this. I can do this. I'll do this. So curious to know what yours is. Drop it in the chat. And again, if you like this video, then please like the video and subscribe for more weekly fuel for your mind and creative grind. And now let's jump into questions if you have anything. Otherwise, I can finish up and I will be back on same time next week, the same time. So open up to questions if anybody has one. Going through here, Yes, I will be at Creative South. Again, I will be speaking at CropCons. There's a couple tickets left, I know, over at cropcons.com. And I know there's a couple slots for workshops. But I'll be speaking there April 29th and 30th. And then I'll be at Creative South early April. My Discord channel, Side Hustlers Collective. A link will be in the description if you want to join a family of creators that are uplifting each other and empowering each other and grinding, sharing resources. I also, within that Discord, I have a channel that's meant for everybody attending Crop Conference and everybody attending Creative South. So I can get everyone together, connect them early on, get familiar with names and faces. And I'll put everybody in a position where we can like have some kind of way to connect and like have dinner, have lunch, whatever it is. So let me jump into the chat. If I don't have any questions, let's just see what people are saying real quick. Kyle Anderson says, let me show that. I say I try a lot, and I also tell myself I suck often. Terrible mindset, but going to change that. Yes, yes. And to me, there's a difference between I suck and then like I'm going to embrace the suck, like I like to talk about. Like, man, I suck when you're talking that negatively charged language and you're building yourself and you're tearing yourself down. Maybe next week I'll go into like the second segment. I didn't want this to get too long, but I also have a section about praise versus criticism and how to build yourself up. And when you build yourself up and you praise yourself and others, you build yourself up and your more mental fortress up. And so the difference, I think there's a good suck and a bad suck. Like I'm willing to suck this season with my thumbnails, with my titles, with YouTube in general, so I can be really, really good versus saying like, man, I just really suck at this. Like, how could I suck so bad? And like beating yourself up with your artwork. And on my latest project, it's funny. I won't say it out loud. I'll struggle with it through the moment, but my latest project, NFT artwork collab, I would say 70%, 80% of this project was like, I was getting so frustrated with it. I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure out the detail, the layout, the composition, the hierarchy, and I stuck with it and I figured it out. I was willing to suck within the moment because I knew I had the potential to make it great if I just stuck with it. But in the past, me would have been like, wow, this sucks. It's continuing to suck. Wow, this is sucking worse. I suck in general, so I can't post anymore. Oops, there went my snack bowl. So there's a difference between I suck and I'm willing to suck during this season to embrace the suck. So yeah, Kyle, I will change that. Indeed, indeed, indeed. I'm all about that. Let's see what Camille has to say here. Shout out to Camille. My mom said to me, I say we do this when it's really, I am doing this. I struggle to say I. Definitely to that. Mom said to me, I say we do this when really it's I'm doing this. Sorry, I'm having a hard time reading that one, Camille. My brain's not firing. I'm getting over a sickness. I am doing this. I struggled to say I. Yes. And Camille, I know we had a good Instagram live session yesterday, like the coaching part. And I feel today's YouTube live session was wired and directed towards you. I feel like you need this. I feel like you have so much potential to blow up your work, but there's a lot of internal things you're navigating within your head, as well as external critics as well. You have an internal critic and an external critic. And I feel like during our conversation yesterday, there's elements of where you're operating out of scarcity mindset, like we talked about. And I can't remember what age you were, but I think you're similar to the same age as like I have so many similarities. I parallel with you in your early portions of your creative grind, and I see so much of myself in you early on, but your skill talent and level is like way beyond mine has ever been. But what you could have the best, dopest skills out of anyone, but it doesn't matter if your mindset's not dialed in. Camille, I feel like you're going to be a powerhouse juggernaut beast if you really focus on what's in between your ears and your mindset. So I think that's the key for you. And I'm looking right at the camera, right at you right now, Camille. I feel like that's going to be the key is the fundamentals. Everybody could have super dope work, but it's all about in here, the belief system. I can do this. I'm willing to take a risk. I don't care about the expectations of others from me. I'm not living a small life, passive life because others may frown or this may happen to me or whatever it is. Like, you are in control of your beliefs right now. What you choose to believe, that's the world will reflect that. It is a mirror. So Camille, everything you want is in the power of your hand, but you have to believe that's possible. And I hope today I'm just sprinkling those little seeds, letting you know, like, wow, there's a whole nother level of this game I could be playing. And it all starts from here. My business took off because I focused on personal development, my mindset. Hence why I'm a mindset coach first. I'm a side hustle coach, but in the 3 pillars I teach is mindset, to get out of your own way, the motivation to start showing up when it's inconvenient, like a professional would. And then how do you market yourself? How do you promote yourself confidently in a non-gross way and communicate with conviction the value you provide this world? Those are the levels I take students through. But so many people want to skip the internal work, which is the mindset, the foundation, and the principles of habits, systems, discipline, self-management, time management, project management. People want to skip all that non-glorious stuff, the glamorous stuff, so they can get into the sexy, ooh, look at my portfolio I built. People want to jump into the marketing and their craft. And I'm like, you're skipping the steps. So I think that's everybody's superpower, is truly diving into the head games of this. If you can overcome the head games and build your craft and find community and market yourself, ooh, you're going to have a bright career. Okay, I'm dwelling on that. So let's go to the next one. Random question. Who have you learned the most from talking with on your podcast? Ooh, that is a really good question. Let's see. One of the first things that comes to mind is when I was talking to Nick Sambrato, the owner of Mama Sauce Printing in Florida. He told me on his episode that he can really only be obsessed with like 1 to 3 things at a time during this season. And here is his like things that are a priority for him during the season. And for me, I was like, whoa, you have a max of 3 things you can focus and prioritize. For me, I'm over here trying to focus and prioritize on like 5, 6, 7 things. And no wonder why I feel so overwhelmed. I feel like I'm always beyond my bandwidth. I feel stressed out, anxiety. I feel like I'm having to please way too many people. I'm like this tiny little piece of butter on just this massive flapjack, just spread way too thin. And that's really stuck with me. And so I've constantly pursued less, doing less, but better, doing less, but better. How is everything aligned? If something's not aligned and it's not serving me and it doesn't align with my 3 priorities during this season, then it's not a good fit for me. It will become an instant no. If it's not a hell yes that aligns with these 3 things, and these 3 things for me, I just shared it with my students yesterday. This season, my 3 priorities are coaching, building up the YouTube brand, and the content creation that goes with it, and then my NFT art Web3 side hustle. And I go even further about breaking that up into percentages. 50% of my time right now is allocated towards coaching. Coaching pays the bills. That's where I make the most impact. And that's what deserves my most attention. That provides for my family, and that's where I'm needed the most. And so everything starts with coaching for me during the week. Once coaching's out of the way, then it's the YouTube session. That bucket takes up 30% of my bandwidth. And my goal is to slowly suck and embrace not being the greatest at YouTube to be really, really good at YouTube. So behind the scenes, like I'm reading a book about YouTube. I'm listening to YouTube videos about creating killer thumbnails, creating scripts, and how to promote YouTube better. So I am doing so much work behind the scenes. And then that 20% of my side hustle usually comes in the evenings. I'm drawing. And then Fridays, after I bust my butt all week, I do my Twitter spaces, my weekly Twitter spaces on Solana NFTs. So I really focus on that lane. But I would say that's probably the most impactful thing I've gotten from a guest on a podcast, is like, you can really only be obsessive about 1 to 3 things in a season. And that's really, really, really stuck with me. So that's a great question. Okay. Leo. Let's see. Leo T. Okay. I'm going to try and see where it goes. I think I do this because it feels like I am removing. I say, I'm going to try and see where it goes. I think I do this because it makes it feel like I'm removing pressure, but then I struggle with imposter syndrome. That may be a different combo. Okay. I could see this. Instead of saying I'm going to try and see where it goes, just say, I'm going to do this and just see where it goes. For me, when I'm pursuing an art piece, or when I started podcasting, I'm like, I'm going to do this for 2 years and see where it goes. It wasn't, I'm going to try to do this. I'm going to podcast for 2 years and see where it goes. When I start every art piece, I'm going to dive into this art piece. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to enjoy the I'm going to enjoy the hell out of this. And I'm going to see where it goes. I'm going to let it take on a mind of its own. So that's how I would approach that. But I really like that. Thank you for sharing. But I struggle with imposter syndrome every day. Every day I struggle with imposter syndrome, self-doubt. But I'm to the point I've built enough of a mental fortress that stuff doesn't bother me anymore. It doesn't block me from making moves. I don't hold myself hostage like I used to. I don't hold myself hostage from chasing what I want, because I've slowly built up those rewired way of thinking. And I catch myself all the time. My wife will even catch me. She'll be like, you said try, you said try, you said hope, But I will catch my students all the time saying this, and it slowly rewires this brain. And at the end of a 12-week program, they don't say that anymore, or they catch themselves. So, Camille says, definitely I'm listening to this while working. I need to hear this. Kyle says, facts. You got this, Camille. F that toxic boss. Yes. Okay, let's see. Mark Pilardi says, paring down my priorities from many to few has vastly improved my productivity. Yes, that's the biggest tip I can give anyone. If you're struggling to gain traction in what you're doing, there's a lot of different elements. You may be overthinking it. You may be paralyzed by comparison, imposter syndrome. But often if you're feeling overwhelmed, you're probably doing too much. If you're struggling to start, you're struggling to stick with it, you're struggling to see results, I can guarantee after having a small conversation with someone, the majority of people, they're just doing too much. And I've gotten really good at doing a lot, but I could be even better the more I simplify the game and keep everything aligned. So yeah, simplify the game, simplify. The more we simplify, the more we make things objective, the more we remove the emotional element that gets us overthinking. So we got to get ourselves in the game, simplify the game, get repetitions. And it's like playing sports. You could be overthinking if you're new, you don't know the playbook, whatever it is. But the more you simplify, you understand, you study, you work on yourself, you do the hard internal work, the game gets easier to play. The game slows down. And once you've mastered the game slowing down, then you can add the next thing to your plate and scale it up a little bit, normalize it until it's slowed down again, then take on the next thing, scale it up a little bit, normalize it, take on the next thing. So slow and steady scaling. All right, I'm going to call this good. I hope you got a lot of value from this one. Thanks for the questions. Thanks for being here. And yeah, feel free to drop a comment after this, and let's connect if you have any follow-up questions. And I will be back same time next week. Love you. Have a great day. Peace.